Oh, hello, hello, once again to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez. Of course, always on the mic Monday through Friday, here with all your cool wrestling factoids, talking to you guys about professional wrestling of all kind of sorts, TNA, Ring of Honor, WWE, AEW. We talk about it all here on this podcast. So make sure, you like and subscribe to the show. But I know today is Friday. A lot of you guys are, kicking up your shoes, getting ready for a great weekend, great Father's Day weekend. Happy Father's Day, by the way, to all the wonderful fathers out there that absolutely love their kids, their wife, and just their life all in all. It's going to be great. It's going to be great weather, especially here in Southern California. Definitely barbecue weather. So I'm excited. Definitely that's what I'm going to do with my three brats. I'm just kidding. No, they're not brats. They're not brats. I would like to introduce you to all my kids right here. All right. First we have, I'm just kidding. We don't have, this isn't that kind of podcast, but maybe one day. Maybe one day. Thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a great show for you today lined up. We have our WWE Smackdown preview. It kind of already aired in Glasgow, Scotland, and this might be way, way, way like a little too late. But I haven't seen anything. Honestly, like if you guys are going in blind like I am, I'm waiting for it to air on Fox at 8 p.m. I'm excited. I can't wait to see what happens the night before, the Clash at the Castle. So, it should be interesting. We will be covering also. We'll be covering on my Thursday night wrestling review. We dive into TNA Impact. I know tonight we also did have the Against All Odds, and there are results posted. I glanced over them a little bit, and that's not my fault because I was like, you know what, I'm gonna, talk about a little bit of TNA, and I was like, I kind of want to dig it a little bit deeper. I kind of saw, so I'm a cheater. I'm a dirty, dirty cheater. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not. But no, I seen a little, I really want to watch it. Obviously, what kind of came from, what speculated in terms of Jordan Grace's, challenger for the title. I kind of thought it was going to be, and honestly, I really, really don't like it. But we can get into that probably on Monday. I'm going to talk to you guys about the TNA Against All Odds as a whole, and we'll get into that. But our third segment, we're going to dive into our WWE Clash at the Castle. We're going to talk about some matchups. We're going to talk about who's going to win, what's the best projected storylines coming out of that win. Also, the bigger, who's the winners, who's the losers, out of this pay-per-view, heading toward WWE SummerSlam. Our fourth segment, John Moxley recently said in an interview that he's so happy that he has left WWE and he has no intentions on going back. So my wrestling fandom, my fantasy, my wrestling Friday fantasy, I'm like, I would like to see John Moxley back into the WWE. So we're gonna go through, basically his time in WWE, how he felt when he signed with AEW, and just basically maybe potentially a future within the WWE. And lastly, every Friday, I want to leave you guys with some cool wrestling news that you guys can, sit at a bar stool. And if you're talking to a wrestling guy, be like, hey, man, have you heard about that? You'd be like, yeah, dude, that guy from, the weird guy from the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast was like, dude, you guys should pay attention to this. So we're going to talk about that. But before we move on, before we get any closer to any of those topics, I want to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. Go ahead and shoot on over like a nice and like a nice tip. I know you guys love watching my beautiful face. I'm just kidding, no. But so to ensure that your question gets read on air, I ask you guys to use the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net with your questions. Just put your questions up on top so I can see it. Tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like, tell me what you think in terms of WWE, the best part of TNA Impact, the best part of Ring of Honor, any any wrestling character you kind of have a feeling where they should go. Let me know. 1,010%. Let me know how you guys feel. Ultimately, this podcast is ran because you guys. This is my podcast, but ultimately, this is our podcast. We're a wrestling fandom. We will always be together, everybody, every single time, and you can't lie about this. Every single time you see another wrestling fan, you automatically kind of have this chemistry with the other person, so that I feel like that kind of fandom is actually really, really cool. So, it really does help the show, guys. Here at the GSMC Sports Network, we do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity. Again, the link is at the GSMC podcast.net. So let's jump right on into our first segment. We're going to talk about our WWE Smackdown preview. Well, no, we're not live, but WWE has taped, an episode of SmackDown in Glasgow, Scotland. We're gonna start off with the Grayson Waller effect, the special guest with being DIY. I honestly think DIY is going to be the next people to kind of challenge Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. I feel like it's kind of perfect because just because of all these injuries within WWE. Bobby Lashley, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, but Drew McIntyre recently came back a couple weeks ago. But you have all these stars that are injured. You have all these heavyweight contenders. Logan Paul was doing God knows what, like he was doing promoting with his own, impulsive podcasts and stuff like that. So, of course, you have the LA Knight. Of course, you have Carmelo Hayes. That's kind of being brought up from WWE NXT. But I honestly kind of feel like WWE needs a little more heavyweight, kind of high card kind of people. And Austin Theory was promised to, he was Vince McMahon's last guy before Vince was kind of let go. And as soon as Vince was let go, like Austin Theory was kind of like, oh my God, what am I gonna do now? Grayson Waller, of course, he's a pretty prominent superstar, has a lot of accolades in WWE NXT. He's the WWE champion with Austin Theory, so he can fight, he can wrestle. I can probably see him, kind of I don't know, it'd be kind of interesting to kind of see him going after Sami Zayn's Intercontinental Championship, but that's like on different shows. So I don't know. It should be kind of crazy how this, kind of pans out. I would like to see DIY fight, and probably, I would like to see them win. I want to see them beat Waller and Theory. Next, we have the LA Knights' path to the United States Championship. So far, it's been so good for the LA Knight. Yeah. Will Logan Paul be in Scotland? Honestly, I kind of feel like he's not. And it kind of sucks. It kind of sucks, and I'm gonna get into that a little later, so I'm gonna save that. Also, you have Chelsea Green pissed off Naomi last week on SmackDown. So, are we gonna see a one-on-one match between those two women? Honestly, it'd be kind of cool. It'd be kind of, interesting to kind of fill in the void there in terms of SmackDown, time. Of course, it's a 2-hour show. Obviously, a 1-hour discrepancy between Monday Night Raw. But, Chelsea Green has to promote Piper Niven because Piper Niven is going to her home country to challenge for the WWE Women's Championship. So you can bet your ass that there's going to probably be a little, a little push, a little shove, probably a promotion, probably maybe a sneak attack that, ultimately causing these two girls to walk into Scotland, Clash at the Castle as, the main bad guys. So, that should be pretty badass. Michin's going to fight against Nia Jax. I feel so bad for Michin, speaking that she is the number one contender for Kaylani Jordan's NXT North American Championship. But Michin's crazy. She's crazy. I feel like she's kind of like that loose cannon. She's absolutely great inside the ring. She's a great tactical wrestler. I know, like she gives off this vibe that she's absolutely like, oh, I'm hardcore, bro. I'm hardcore. But if you pay attention to her matches, she does really, really good. She knows how to, she knows how to do submissions. She also knows how to like get out of a counter whenever it's dire in terms of a match. So this isn't just a layup for Nia Jax. I feel like a lot of people think that since Nia Jax is the queen of the ring, which by all means she deserves all the credit, and we're throwing all the flowers toward the Inoue family member in Nia Jax. But honestly, I would honestly think that it's better to kind of have a good match instead of like a squash match, especially if you're trying to build up Michin for a title shot for the North American Women's Championship heading to our next week on NXT. So I feel like if this is a squash match between Michin and Nia Jax, I feel like that's kind of dirty. I feel like that's kind of nasty. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Next, we're going to see Kevin Owens go one-on-one with Solo Sikoa. I freaking thought that this match was going to be, and I honestly would have been better at Clash at the Castle, but I don't know what's going to happen at Clash at the Castle in terms of the bloodline. Although there's been a lot of flirting around Talatunga, the Tungian, and with Kevin Owens, just he's kind of essentially kind of being by himself And you can't really blame him. You can't blame his character development because essentially, I feel like a lot of these WWE fans, a lot of these old WWF Attitude Era kind of guys, and I know I speak on behalf of myself, that you kind of see Kevin Owens as this Stone Cold Steve Austin kind of figure. And I'm not just saying that because he's been confirmed to, he's been gifted the Stone Cold Stunner, but just the way Kevin Owens is. Kevin Owens has always been amazing on the mic. He's always been really prominent in producing great matchups. But most importantly, Kevin Owens, he's just kept his name relevant. He's just kept his name relevant. He's been the WWE Universal Champion. He was beat by Goldberg. Everybody kind of thought KO was kind of dead, but he came back. And then after that, KO kind of bounced around with WWE, tried to get his championship back, feuded with Chris Jericho, and he was kind of written off, but he came back. Kevin Owens, he flirted with the opportunity, maybe the chance of going back to WWE NXT. But it didn't happen. It didn't happen most importantly because WWE they understand and they honestly respect how special Kevin Owens is and kind of just his I wouldn't be surprised if you would see Kevin Owens as a WWE champion moving forward. I know a lot of people kind of doubt that. I know a lot of people kind of look at WWE Kevin Owens is like, dude, you can win the Intercontinental Championship, you can win the United States Championship, and that's just crazy. That just proves the discrepancy between the higher ups in terms of wrestlers and also the mid carders. The mid carders, I feel like the range goes from like right here. And then you have the heavyweights. You have the people who can challenge for the WWE Championship, who can challenge for the WWE, World Heavyweight Championship. And I feel like it's just so minimal. And WWE honestly needs to work on that because it gets to the point where you're like, if Kevin Owens fights Cody Rhodes, we know Cody Rhodes is going to win. It gets to the point where Cody Rhodes fights Solo Sikoa, and they're like, we know Cody Rhodes is going to win. Damian Priest fights someone like Sami Zayn. They're like, okay, there's not much people at the top, and I know as a wrestling promotion, you kind of want to have that shock value. But I think it's to the point where right now it just seems so surreal. It just seems so surreal to the point where I feel like that's why WWE is kind of opening up the gates a little bit. I know, like, you have Ring of Honor, you have All Elite Wrestling, you also have TNA Impact, you have the MLW, you have the NWA, and there's just so many guys. There's just so many guys who are good guys. They're great wrestlers. These guys can put on matches and matches. These guys can put the butts in the seats. But, obviously WWE has always closed. They've always shut. They've always screwed and bolted that forbidden door. I think it's time for a change. I think it's time for a change. I think it's done. It's time for WWE to kind of step up from that two-person, three-person, maybe worthwhile of winning the WWE main championships, like the Undisputed Championship and like the World Heavyweight Championship. Moving on, we also have, I'm also thinking like, will Randy Orton help Solo Sikoa? Will Tola Tonga, will he make a preview? Will there be kind of like maybe like a promo? I doubt it. Also, Cody Rhodes brings Mama Rhodes to Glasgow, Scotland. And I gotta be honest, if we see a bloody Cody Rhodes, totally bloody, and if you see him pandering to the Scotland crowd, and he's like, and AJ's house is like, this is what you got, Mama Rhodes. Like, if they're trying to mimic what The Rock did once when he was doing the Final Boss thing, heading toward WWE WrestleMania 40, I don't want to see that. Not a lot of fans kind of want to see that. Can't wait to watch it. It's live, well, not live, but it's on the West Coast. It's live right now. So, yeah, no, it should be pretty awesome. Also, lastly, kind of what wanted to talk about is I was watching the Colin Cowherd show this morning. Saw a random ad for SmackDown. You saw Bobby Lashley in it. You also saw Bianca Belair, and I don't know, this could possibly be a Bobby Lashley push. I know, you might be thinking, like, Eric, you're crazy. There's a lot of WWE, promos. There's a lot of WWE advertisements that go on through the USA Network as well as the Fox Network. We don't really trip about it. But honestly, I kind of feel like they need Bobby Lashley. 1,010%. I feel like ever since he got injured, they missed him. And now I feel like WWE will finally use Bobby Lashley to more of world heavyweight WWE championship contender because he's been that. He lost to Roman Reigns. I feel like it was like 8 to 10 years ago. Not 8 to 10 years ago. I may be exaggerating. But Bobby Lashley had all the smoke. He had all the attention. He had all the momentum. To have him lose against Roman Reigns, that, obviously that was Vince McMahon, but I feel like there's going to be a heavy Bobby Lashley push, which I feel like is well deserving. This guy's been within the company for so long. He's a retired, a U.S. Army and U.S. Marine, excuse me, veteran, and he's just been pushed around by WWE ever since he surfaced in 2006. It's time. It's time to push Bobby Lashley for the best, for the betterment of the company, and just overall for I think it's time. It's just time. It's for Bobby's time. Bobby's time. Well, guys, do not go anywhere. We're going to jump right on into our Thursday night wrestling review. We're going to talk about Thursday night. You're going to TNA Impact. We're also going to talk about Ring of Honor. So, hey, do not go anywhere.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown. Get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
And we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. If you missed the prior segment, we talked about our WWE Friday Night Smackdown preview, and now we're going to jump right into our professional wrestling review, our Thursday night wrestling review. But before we move on any closer, I want to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link at the GSMC podcast.net. We get a number of questions that come in from viewers like you during the show, so to ensure that your question gets read on air, I ask you guys to use the tips and donations link at the GSMC podcast.net with your questions. This puts your questions up on top of the list so I can see it, so we can address it. Tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. Give me your projected predictions or your projected storylines, who you want the champion to be. Also, it really does help the show here at the GSMC Sports Network. We do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity all the way, 1,010%. Again, the link is at the GSMCpodcast.net. So let's jump right on into our Thursday night wrestling review. We have TNA Impact of June 13th, 2024. So we have Zachary Wentz against Mike Santana. Much like we kind of thought about, as Trey Miguel tried to interfere, Macklin appeared to take him out. Wentz goes to the handspring of Santana, counters with the spin, the block, securing the 3-count victory. We saw Mike Santana coming victorious of Zachary Wentz. Honestly, I like that. I kind of like that heading toward TNA Against All Odds. Obviously, it already aired. Can't wait to watch it. I've not checked it out. I kind of really want to. Maybe I feel like I should have, but then it would have made sense. It would have made sense, having my Thursday night wrestling review, because TNA kind of did this pay-per-view on Friday because they knew SmackDown wouldn't be live. They knew that they were able to kind of manipulate the wrestling art audience to kind of have them be like, hey, if you're in that routine of watching WWE Smackdown, if you're looking for a wrestling product, why not us? Like, you know what I mean? Mike Santana getting the victory. Absolutely love that. Masha Slamovich against Marty Bell with Allison Kay. This match was pretty darn good, but all in all, it was Marty Bell able to pick up the victory. Um, with that, you saw Marty evades and tries to steal a victory. The referee catches the attempt, but Kay gets on the apron, distracting Simovic enough to Marty to whirl her up from behind to steal the victory. So you obviously kind of have that, total heel. It's kind of crazy because I was so invested in the Spitfire. You would never thought Simovic and her tag team partner would be such a huge baby faces, kind of heading toward that. But you kind of have these girls, Allison Kay and also Marty Bell, kind of be like, they're not your traditional wrestling heels, but I feel like they bring a lot to the table. I feel like the WWE, not the WWE, the TNA Knockouts World Tag Team Championships are still in vain, even though Slamovich, got the loss, and Marty, bringing momentum, like I kind of said before in my previous podcast. I feel like, there's going to be a change. There's going to be a change. I feel like in terms of TNA, the World Women's Tag Team Championships are, it's always hanging in the balance. All right, next we have Tasha Steelz against Danny Luna with Jody Threat and Lars Frederiksen. This match was basically made for, obviously you saw Tasha Steelz defeat Jody last week on TNA Impact. Daniel Luna kind of wanted to give the formula, kind of wanted to give what it takes to take down Tasha Steelz, but I don't know, it's kind of crazy. Obviously, whenever it comes to like a tag team, distribution, whenever it comes, not distribution, disruption, whenever it comes to like a possible tag team breakup, which I hope these guys do not break up. I feel like they're good as as a TNA Knockouts World Tag Team Championships. But Danny Luna did it. She was able to kind of teach, Jody Threat, or what is it? Not Jody Threat. It's Jody Threat. Jody Threat. Kind of what it took to take down Tasha. I kind of like it. Obviously there was a little, kind of like a little thing between it, but ultimately Tasha counters the attack, but Luna counters with a blue thunder bomb. I love the blue thunder bomb move, by the way. I think that's pretty badass. Obviously, you see Sami Zayn doing it. So yeah. Next, we have the System at the Hardy compound. The System arrives at the Hardy compound and decides to go around back. Matt Hardy welcomes them on the balcony, but Moose sets up the trap. Bobby, fireworks causes chaos. Dude, that's crazy. I can't wait to watch this. That's absolutely crazy. The screen flashes, showing the System outside of the Hardy compound, and Moose screams as the screen fades black. That's something in terms of, entertainment. That's the entertainment value that professional wrestling should definitely have. I kind of like the way they did it. I like how the Broken Matt Hardy is kind of doing what he, in terms of, especially with Moose. You can't beat Moose one-on-one, bro. I'm sorry. You can't. This guy is a physical specimen. This guy, he probably teaches at the LA Fitness local to his house, the Moose, booty fit camp. Or, I'm just kidding, no. But this guy he's the real deal. He's the real deal. So Hardy, he relies on those mind games. He has to have those mind games in his corner to kind of push Moose to the limit. And not a lot of people have done that. Obviously, not a lot of people, has invited, the System leading by Moose to their compound or their house or whatever. So I don't know, this is pretty big. This, kind of leaves a lot of questions wide open for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. So, obviously it should be interesting. I can't wait to see what happens in terms of that. Ash by Elegance defeated Jada Stone. Ash by Elegance has been absolutely super, super good. Dana Brooke. I love Dana Brooke, even when she was in WWE, even when she was doing her thing with Charlotte Flair. Um, this is something that WWE I feel like could have manipulated a little better, but you lost her. She's now asked by Elegance. I feel like the way she kind of is right now, I feel like TNA needed her. And at that point, you're like, you know what? I'm okay with it. But I still feel like they kind of missed on, Ash by Elegance. I also feel like WWE also missed on, Ember Moon as well. Well, Athena. But yeah, honestly, it's kind of crazy. Next, we see Nick and Ryan Nemeth against ABC. I guess this match was Nick tries to tag in Ryan, but fails. Ace chops. Ryan gets dumped on the floor, and then Bay takes him out. Danger zone. Rick, so obviously you have momentum heading toward Against All Odds tonight with Ryan and Nick Nemeth, the Nemeth brothers. So ABC still in turmoil. They recently kind of had a little falling out, which is kind of sad because I like ABC. Ace, it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy to kind of see this all like Ace Austin, of course, also Chris Bay. I hope they kind of figure it out because they've been so prominent within the tag team division of TNA. So I honestly don't want them to kind of go anywhere. But, obviously it's professional wrestling. So, suck it up and deal with it. All right, so we also have our Ring of Honor review as well. We have our Ring of Honor Women's Television Championship Proving Ground match. Billy Starks defeats Sandra Mooney via submission, the half Nelson sleeper. The Shane Taylor production, Shane Taylor and Lee Mayorty defeat Jacoby Watts and Nick Camarado via pinfall. Johnny TV and Taya Valkyrie cut a promo backstage where Taya said she respected everyone in the women's locker room, but Queen Aminata was getting on her nerves. Valkyrie called Aminata a fraud and said she would kick her ass off the throne. Wow, that's pretty badass. That's pretty cool. Red Velvet defeated Viva Van. The Triple Threat Trios match, you had the Top Flight with, Action Andretti. You also have Lance Archer and the Righteous. You saw Dark Order, and you saw Dalton Castle and the Infantry. It's kind of crazy because I think it was the Infantry. Is it the Infantry that scored the pinfall? Via pinfall, pump handle, slam action, Darius Miles, and Max Reynolds. That's big. That's big, especially, the Dark Order getting the victory. I feel like this was pretty big for their CPU, through their kind of trios because for the longest time you kind of had the Bang Bang Gang. You had the Bang Bang Gang, the Bullet Club, or whatever you like to call them, the Bullet Club Gold, but it's time. It's time for a change. And I know a lot of people are probably calling me crazy because they're like, "Hey, dude, what are you talking about? These guys are winning, man. Winning. You have the Switchblade Jay White going at it night and night with AEW Ring of Honor, but I don't know. You can't really have. This is why I hate title versus title kind of matches. This is why I hate the idea of a unified championship match. I think it's dumb. I think it's kind of stupid. I think you can build up more revenue, more of a marketable approach, kind of keeping titles kind of separate, like the Ring of Honor 6-man championship and the AEW Trios championship. But obviously, they should hire me. They should hire me. I'm just kidding. No. Marina Shafir, Alex Windsor, and Diamante defeated Abaddon, Lady Frost, and Layla Hirsch. Harley Cameron defeated Trish Adora. Ring of Honor Tag Team Championship Proving Ground match. You had the Undisputed Kingdom, Mac Taven, and Mike Bennett defeat the Wolf Zaddies, Shea Cabrera, the Bad Dude Tito. And yeah, honestly, I was rooting for the Wolf Zaddies. But that's just my opinion. I'm tired of Mike Bennett and Matt Taven. I'm sorry, but that's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. But yeah. But guys, do not go anywhere. We're gonna jump right into our third segment, WWE Clash at the Castle predictions. We're gonna, obviously we're gonna spend a lot of time on this segment. Don't want to spend too much time because we're rapidly running out of time, and I keep talking about time. So hey, do not go anywhere.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
All right, welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, of course, always every Monday night through Friday night. Absolutely pretty awesome. Hope you guys have an amazing weekend. Hope you guys had an amazing week. It's kind of crazy because I feel like we just talked about, being together on Monday, and we're like, I'm just dreading Monday. But we made it. We made it. So obviously, 1,010%. Hope you guys are having an amazing week. Hope you guys have some awesome plans heading toward the weekend. 1,010%. So let's go ahead and dive right on into our third segment, which is the WWE Clash at the Castle. But before we move on any further, I want to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. Shoot me your questions. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like, and we'll get it done. And ultimately, this podcast is mine, but this podcast is ours. Our wrestling fandom should stay together through and through. Tell me what you like. I take criticism very, very well. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump right on into our Clash at the Castle. So starting off, and I'm going to kind of get into my scrutiny about this pay-per-view, momentarily. But yeah, let's go ahead and start right on into our WWE Women's Tag Team Championship match between Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill versus Alba Fry and Isla Dawn. And we also have Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark. Much like I kind of would like to see Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler win some gold within the WWE World Women's Tag Team Championship, I don't think it's going to happen. It's not going to happen. For the longest time, I hated Cargill and I hated Bianca Belair kind of, joining forces, but I've seen matchups. I've seen it all. I've seen them kind of, helping out the competitors, helping out, who they're going to face and stuff like that. And I think it's better. I've kind of, sort of, kind of moved on into more of a supportive role in terms of the WWE World Women's Tag Team Champions. But I don't know. Oh man, Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill are so dominant. They're so dominant. I don't know who's going to fight them, who's going to beat them. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting, 1,010%. But if I had to make my predictions, they are going to 1,010% retain the championships. All right, next we have the WWE Intercontinental Championship between Sami Zayn and Chad Gable. This match has been brewing ever since WrestleMania. Chad Gable constantly throwing in Sami Zayn's face that, hey, dude, I trained you. The reason why you being with her was because of me. Without me, you'd be nothing. And it's true. It's true 1,010%. Sami Zayn was lost. He needed that extra push. He needed that extra, kind of thought in the back of his mind, be like, hey, dude, honestly, I can do this. I can do this, which strives for motivation, which is what Chad Gable kind of gave to Sami Zayn during WrestleMania. Of course, Sami kind of had his wife out there and stuff like that. Yeah, it's going on. Yeah. But after what's going to happen to the Alpha Academy? I hope nothing really bad happens to them because I love seeing them on WWE Monday Night Raw. Although they're getting trashed and stuff like that, I like to see Akira Tozawa. I like to see Otis, and I also like to see Maxine Dupree. Kind of doing their thing. So whatever happens on this match, I hope it's for the betterment. I honestly don't think Chad Gable is going to win. And I know a lot of people think it might be crazy, but maybe to kind of bait Chad Gable into a contract extension, WWE is like, all right, we'll give him the title. We'll give him the title. Maybe a rematch at SummerSlam. Maybe a surprise from Brock Lesnar coming back. I'm just kidding, no. But I don't know. It's kind of it's up in the air. It's up in the air right now. Obviously, we don't know where Chad Gable wants to go. AEW is pushing really hard. They have money. They can definitely give him a nice spot where he could probably be the TNT AEW championship. Also, he could be a world heavyweight championship. Maybe him and Swerve have a fight. Heading toward the future. Maybe at AEW. Wembley Stadium All In. So there's a lot of possibilities with this match. It's gonna be crazy. Can't wait to find out, what comes next. Next, we have the WWE Championship, Women's Championship between Bayley and Piper Niven. Piper Niven representing her company, not her company, representing her country in Scotland. And I don't know, I like it. By all means, I love Piper Niven, but in all realism, she's not going to win. I don't think she's going to win, but if she does, you might have a Nia Jax versus Piper Niven match at SummerSlam where Nia Jax is like, oh, like I was the favorite. Now all of a sudden I might be considered the underdog here. So obviously Bayley has done so much within the WWE. Bayley has put over, superstars. Obviously, her with Damage Control and stuff like that with Io Sky, Dakota Kai, the Cooper Warriors and stuff like that. But is this kind of what we expect from Bayley at this point in her career, where she wins championships, where she has matchups, where she's kind of like I don't know how to even compare her, like where she's kind of in the matchup where people win to ultimately kind of make a name for themselves or kind of, build more momentum toward like the start of their championship run. Possibly, maybe. But I don't know. I like Bayley. I do like Bayley. I like her more from a babyface standpoint. I feel like that kind of heel run she had, kind of screwed her over in terms of creative and character progression. But obviously, that's my opinion. But it should be interesting to kind of see how this match, kind of winds up. The winner, obviously, I feel like Bayley's going to retain. Our WWE Cody Rhodes against AJ Styles and I Quit match. I'm going to see the OC interfere highly. This might bring out Axiom and Frazier to help out from WWE NXT. But this match is obvious. I don't feel like this is enough of a huge turmoil match for Cody Rhodes to lose the championship. If he loses the championship to AJ Styles, I'm going to be really, really shocked. It's probably going to be the biggest shock of the wrestling century since like forever. But I just don't see it. I see AJ Styles as a champion. Yes, I do. But over Cody Rhodes, after Cody Rhodes' story, after fighting 2 years, winning 2 Royal Rumbles to hold this championship, nah, not at all. Not at all. I wouldn't see that, happening whatsoever. I think Cody Rhodes is going to win this. Definitely think, AJ Styles is going to say, I quit. Unless AJ Styles finds a way to kind of take Mama Rhodes into like this, into the storyline, kind of hold her accountable, kind of hold in a, like a steel chair to her, be like, quit, Cody, kind of like what Judgment Day did to Adam Copeland when they had Beth Phoenix. That could be a possibility, but I feel like if that happens, you're gonna be like, "Oh, that's what what the Judgment Day did with Adam Cole." Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be absolutely crazy how this match, kind of winds up. And finally, we have our WWE World Heavyweight Championship match between Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre. This is going to be a good match. I feel like it's going to be a good match. Drew McIntyre, obviously in Glasgow, Scotland, he's had a lot of success. He took on, obviously Roman Reigns. He lost, but the reason why he lost was because, it was interfered and stuff like that. He needs to become a winner. Drew McIntyre has done so well. Ever since he came back from the injury, but before then he's just been the workhorse. They put the strap on him once when they were doing the whole WWE during the pandemic. So we're like, yeah, let's experiment with some stuff. Like, you know what I mean? But I feel like Drew McIntyre has what it takes. You see him cut good promos. You see him just like constantly like people root for him. People love him. You saw that promo with Sheamus where everyone was kind of like, okay, these two guys, these two Scottish lads are ready to kick some ass at Clash at the Castle. Will it happen? No, which kind of makes me sad because I feel like Damian Priest is going to probably lose to, someone at SummerSlam, but Drew McIntyre is just so damn good. I feel like WWE once again might be overlooking his character. and he was recently, he was recently inducted into the Scottish Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame. So that's obviously that to kind of consider. And before I lose on, before I drop on this, on this subject, if you think about it, I only talked about like 5 matches. I only talked about 5 matches, and honestly, that disgusts me. That disgusts me because I feel like, you have the WWE World Tag Team Championships, Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, where they kind of have challengers set before them in DIY. You have the United States Championship. LA Knight defeated Carmelo Hayes. Talking about Logan Paul, why aren't they fighting at Clash at the Castle? And also Liv Morgan. What is Liv Morgan doing? Why does she have the night off? I don't think she deserves a night off. Like, it's crazy. I think either she should be fighting Lyra Valkyrie or Io Sky for this championship match for her to defend it. All in all, I never ever kind of crap on WWE, PLEs, but this one, and kind of like maybe my patience for WWE has kind of wear thin. Maybe I'm too used to watching AEW pay-per-views where all the titles are on the line all at once. But that's old school WWF as well. And prior WWF pay-per-views and WWE pay-per-views, you would always see the championship matches always on the line and stuff like that. And I don't know why you have 3 championships that should be on the line, but it's not. So, voicing my frustrations, obviously, I'm getting a little worked up. But we're going to move on into our fourth segment. We're going to talk right on into our will John Moxley ever come back to the WWE? So, hey, stay tuned.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
And we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Just to kind of reflect on what we talked about our segment 1, we had our WWE Smackdown preview. Segment 2, we talked about my Thursday Night Wrestling review, which consists of Ring of Honor and TNA, so make sure you check that out. Segment 3, we touched on WWE Clash at the Castle. I'll give you my analysis, my predictions, my preview. So, we're going to get into will John Moxley ever come back to the WWE? So let's go ahead and jump right into that. So John Moxley, obviously, you see him in AEW, New Japan Professional Wrestling. He's the IWGP champion. But will he ever, make it back to the WWE? So, John Moxley said on the podcast with Chris Jericho that his unhappiness with the creative process and his relationship with Vince McMahon ultimately caused him to kind of look for a different promotion. And I don't know, it seems a bit fitting, especially during his time. I don't know if all you'll remember, once when kind of Dean Ambrose wasn't Dean Ambrose. He was sort of like this moral compass kind of guy where he was seen like burning Seth Rollins shirts and stuff like that, where it was just so dumb. It was just so crazy. And I think I talked about this prior podcasts and stuff like that. But, I feel like Dean Ambrose should have deserved a lot more. But obviously back in time, you had a lot more higher wrestling main eventers kind of thing, which is kind of crazy because when you see Dean Ambrose, I think about main eventer. Obviously, Vince McMahon, when he saw Dean Ambrose, he kind of thought mid Carter. But I know it's kind of crazy. Moxley said if if there was even if there was another option or not, he was going to leave WWE. And he said, and I quote, "Whether if AEW existed, I was gone from WWE. Would have started my own promotion, trained all my opponents, and started my own training. Which is kind of crazy. So I would have definitely restarted the wrestling business from scratch if I had to." And, kind of just him saying that just kind of proves that WWE back when Vince McMahon kind of had control of it wasn't really good. I feel like that's the reason why AEW had so much success, reason why so many wrestling fans were kind of jumping on into, because they used to produce like, 1 million viewers, like average in terms of, AEW Dynamite. But obviously now that has kind of changed under the Paul Levesque era, which kind of makes people think that maybe, Dean Ambrose or John Moxley might find a better fit within WWE under Triple H's command. I feel like, with creative, I feel like WWE has done really, really well so far. Will they be able to kind of develop a person like Dean Ambrose? I feel like at this point, yes, absolutely. Cody Rhodes is looking for someone to fight an AEW superstar, meeting another, fellow AEW superstar, turned WWE. I feel like Dean Ambrose's story, John Moxley's story, kind of relates to Cody Rhodes' story, like, kind of like really, really freaking well. Like it's crazy. But John Moxley, he's the IWGP champion, and it could be possible. It could be possible. I feel like if Triple H finds a way, but I feel like right now John Moxley's so frustrated with WWE. He was like, you know what? I was there before. Obviously, you don't have the apple fall too far from the tree. You kind of have Triple H, which is, Vince McMahon's son-in-law. So I don't know how much speculation or how much trust he kind of has in a return to WWE, but it's it's kind of crazy. He said in an interview that he was grateful with his 8 years with WWE. He would it was getting to a point where he would get physically sick. He would get physically sick during his his WWE matches and promos. That he would constantly have WebMD was always on his kind of handy for him, or he would be like, "What's wrong with me?" Like, and that kind of sucks. So a lot of people, especially just speaking into terms of just not even professional wrestling, just more in terms of like having a stable job. Sometimes people do sacrifice a high paying job for a job that they feel way more comfortable at, most importantly, because it's not a drag whenever you go to work. Like it's not just so draining. They're not telling you to do something that you don't want to do, which is kind of out, or that's out of your kind of your job description kind of thing. And that's what WWE wanted to do with John Moxley, and John Moxley didn't honestly want to do it. And yeah, it's kind of crazy. He said, and I quote, under Vince McMahon, the WWE creative process sucked. It's killing the company. There was no character freedom, which was 1,010% correct. That's why you saw Sasha Banks leave. That's why you kind of saw CM Punk come back, and he did the pre-show. He did like a show after SmackDown, or before SmackDown or during SmackDown, and then like he left. Like there was just no like. I don't know. There's just no point. There was just absolutely no point, which could have been a huge demise of the WWE. Kind of like how you saw the demise of WCW, of Vince Russo, Eric Bischoff, and Hulk Hogan kind of taking over in creative purposes and processes and stuff like that. This could have been huge for WWE. This could have, I feel like AEW flourished when Vince McMahon was in WWF, WWE. But ever since he left, I feel like Triple H is, doing a really good job in restoring, especially with the partnerships with the, TKO Holdings, obviously with the UFC and stuff like that. So and it's a way different time right now in WWE. I feel like if Dean Ambrose, John Moxley do come back to WWE, it could possibly be something logical, something that would be absolutely extraordinary. He would right away. Right away, he would be right in the top championship spots with Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, Drew McIntyre, Damian Priest, also Finn Balor. I feel like Finn's also, a huge competitor, which I feel like they're kind of doing him wrong right now. But John Moxley said that it was goofy shit, and that's a quote. He said it was goofy shit. So he had to act. He had to act. John Moxley, Vince McMahon wanted John Moxley to kind of bring Roman Reigns' leukemia kind of, into the storyline, but Moxley wouldn't utter a word of it. Moxley was mostly depressed of his time in WWE after the Shield. And he said, and I quote, and I'm going to leave with you guys with this one, the takeaway that the thing that you love the most is something that they love to take away. And, obviously you kind of have a creative mind with professional wrestling and something that John Moxley wanted to do from his tenure with WWE. He just wanted to bring something new, nuanced into the promotion, but they didn't listen to him, which is kind of crazy because obviously, Vince McMahon was really high on telling people like what to do, not like hearing opinions and stuff like that. But I don't know. It's kind of crazy. He said once when he got the offer, he was offered a contract from WWE, but it got to the point. It got to the point where he was just so sick of WWE, so sick of Vince McMahon's creative purposes, so sick of his mind within the professional wrestling industry that he didn't even glare. He didn't even shed a look. He didn't even shed a blinding eye to what WWE offered him. That's how important it was for him in terms of kind of fighting for something that you are, really passionate about. And, John Moxley or Dean Ambrose was highly practiced on kind of, on this bout of you kind of have to let these wrestlers kind of breathe. You can't just have these, this huge shoulder pads. You can't just have like someone from the higher ups having their hands on you. Like, you got to do this, you got to do that. Bring up, hey, Roman Reigns is leukemia. That should be awesome. Like, that's stupid. That's absolutely, absolutely insane. Obviously, that's a huge reason why John Moxley left the WWE. And with that being said, the future within WWE, I don't really see it. I don't really see him coming back to the WWE, although it does kind of break my heart. But, it is what it is. Obviously, it is what it is. Moving on to our fifth and final segment. I know a lot of you guys are preparing for your soccer podcast with Emran, but stick with me for about maybe we're going to go a little overtime here, maybe like 5 to 7 minutes. We're going to get on into our wrestling news roundup. So, hey, do not go anywhere. All right, and we're back with the GSMC podcast.net. Oh, no, GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast. I apologize. So let's jump right into our last segment. Obviously, we talked about our WWE Smackdown preview, our Thursday Night Wrestling review as well. We talked about the World of Ring of Honor, also Thursday Night Impact. We talked about our WWE Clash at the Castle predictions. Make sure you check into that. And we just got done recently speaking about if Dean Ambrose / John Moxley will ever make it back to the WWE. Honestly, I think at this point it's kind of dire. But but we're going to move on into our fifth and final segment. We're going to try to finish this as soon as possible. As soon as possible. So let's get on into it. So we have, wrestling news roundup. Obviously, before I leave you guys into the wrestling world this weekend, I just want to kind of touch on some things that are, a little important. And, maybe that's something you can bring up to a wrestling fan and be like, oh, and that's an engaging conversation. Like, let's do this. First, we have Matt Riddle is injured, a former WWE star. Obviously, he's kind of being touched on Major League Wrestling and also New Japan Professional Wrestling, but he was in a car accident. His Uber driver messed up. I'm not too sure what happened in terms of that. Obviously, there's a lot of allegations kind of there that I'm not like really, eloquent or adequate I'm kind of speaking of, or, kind of loud I'm speaking of. But it's just kind of crazy. It's just kind of crazy how your life can kind of just, flash in an instant, something could happen. Matt Riddle was, he left kind of WWE tumultuously. And I would kind of love to see him come back. And I know that might be kind of, it might disgruntle some of the WWE fans out there. But Matt Riddle was good. I feel like he was great inside the ring. Obviously, you kind of had rated RK Bro. RK Bro, I don't know if it was rated. Obviously, Edge wasn't there. But I think he's great. I think he's a great wrestler. I loved seeing him. My wife called him Malibu Barbie. Like it was just so funny. But obviously he's not there to kind of be made fun of. But the way he jumped off and flipped off in sandals and it was like bam, fireworks went off. I feel like Matt Riddle was somewhat. Obviously he came from MMA. He came from an MMA background. So and, when he came to wrestling, I feel like he was kind of set up to fail to begin with. But then he came to WWE and they kind of, they treated him right. He was, he feuded with the, Seth Rollins and stuff like that. He did fight, major wrestlers and now he's part of the MLW, constantly flirting with the New Japan Professional Wrestling promotion. So, there could be a possibility for Matt Riddle to come back within the WWE. All right. So our next news segment, we're going to talk about Jeff Hardy, former WWE star, former AEW star. Officially, I feel like his contract has ended. Former TNA, legend, Jeff Hardy says that his AEW contract is up and he's willing to tag up. He's willing to be a part of TNA once again. And this is just big. This is big because obviously you have the 25-man Battle Royal at WWE NXT next Tuesday night. So I kind of brought this up. I did. I'm not trying to rub it in your face and be like, "Oh, I told you so." Like, no, nobody likes one of those guys who rubs things in other people's faces. But no, Jeff Hardy. He's been part of the wrestling circuit for so damn long. I kind of speculated on him helping Matt Hardy or helping maybe Moose defeat his brother, building up like a nice little brother versus brother kind of kind of a rivalry kind of thing. But Jeff Hardy is available. What does this mean for WWE? It's possible. What does this mean for WWE NXT? It's possible. What does this mean for WWE TNA? It's going to be great. It's going to be great. Definitely love Jeff Hardy coming back into the TNA scene. Hope all is well, especially with all that stuff that's kind of behind the curtains. Obviously I can't really, I'm not really going to talk about it too much, but I hope Jeff Hardy's doing well. Hope he's ready to come back to wrestling and kind of fully put in his attention, his passion, but most importantly, just his absolute charisma. That's the reason why Jeff Hardy was really, really big. Next, we have Tala Tonga. Tala Tonga's name has been trademarked by WWE. Are we having a bloodline direction? Once again, is he going to debut at the WWE Clash at the Castle PLE in Glasgow, Scotland? Shortly, I feel like 3:10 in like 13 hours. Obviously, you have Scotland that's ahead of me right now. I'm on the West Coast. So, but this guy's huge. This guy's really, really huge. He's the younger brother of Tama Tonga and also Tongaloa. Um, I mean, oh my God, I can't believe I messed that up. Is it Tongaloa? No, not Tongaloa. No, that doesn't make it. That sounds like a dance. Or I could be wrong. Could be wrong. Obviously, but this is going to be huge. This is going to be huge for the bloodline. What does this mean for Roman Reigns coming back? He's going to come back and he's going to see 3 Tungans and also Solo Sikoa running the bloodline, and he's going to be. I feel like he's going to be beaten down to a bloody pulp. It's gonna get to the point where people want Roman Reigns. Like he went from this absolute heel against Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 39 and WrestleMania 40, where people were cursing his name. Even The Rock came back thinking that people were going to give him wide open arms. But it was thrown off because you had Cody Rhodes fans. You also had it was just WWE fans who really honestly wanted to see Cody Rhodes finish the story. So you're going to have Roman Reigns comes back with all that scrutiny, all that like just baggage on top of him. And he's going to come back. He's going to have to take on, Tungaloa, also Tamatonga, and also, Tala Tonga and Solo Sikoa. So it's kind of crazy. It's kind of like when a warrior comes back to his country and be like, hey, dude, guess what? We replaced your ass. Like, and like even Paul Heyman's probably gonna have that. It's gonna be it's gonna be so awesome. I can't wait to find out with the storyline. That's why I'm highly invested into it. All right, next we have Logan Paul. Logan Paul was offered to substitute Mike Tyson's spot in the Jake Paul fight in the future. That's kind of, I don't like that. Maybe I can see these guys in a WWE ring fighting it out as brothers, but in a boxing ring, I feel like it's pointless. Why do you want to like fight your own brother? Why do you? I know if I had to fight my own brother, and if I know my brother was a rising boxing star, former YouTube A-lister, trying to establish his name within combat sports, why would I want to just disgrace his name? Why would I even want to throw shade? Why would I even want to, fight him? Because like, although like it might benefit you and your publicity, overall, within the Paul name, that's your brother, dude. That's your brother. And I feel like Logan Paul's not going to really be into it. He's going to be like, dude, this is stupid. This is, obviously the Mike Tyson and the Jake Paul fight, in my opinion, were highly just a publicity stunt for both of them. But with Mike Tyson dealing with his stuff, I doubt he's going to be able. He's going to be physically ready to fight Jake Paul. So I feel like I don't know how boxing's kind of cute in terms of like in terms of entertainment and stuff like that. I can maybe have Mike Tyson come out and be like, I'm representing this guy. This guy's my guy. He's gonna fight in my stance. Like I don't know how that's all gonna work, but I think it's gonna be kind of naive if you put the brothers against each other. I know Logan for a fact will not kind of get into it because he also has a WWE career to kind of worry about. You can't be getting a broken eye. You can't be getting a broken jaw. You can't be getting just all these injuries that you need to pursue your wrestling career. So, definitely think 1,010% he's going to pass on that. Lastly, once again, I say Joe Hendry is more of a WWE superstar than a lot of these WWE NXT superstars. There was a bulletin board outside of Glasgow, Scotland with his face on it. There's no doubt in my mind that Joe Hendry will be in the WWE NXT 25-man battle royal over the top rope to find out who's going to face Trick Williams. And, I feel like this historic collaboration between WWE and TNA is it needs to continue. It has to continue. If it continues, it's going to be great. Obviously, I know who answered Jordan Grace's open challenge, and since it's kind of heading toward the end of the show, and since it's Friday, let's get into it. Tatum Paxley. Tatum Paxley answers Jordan Grace's. Sorry, I didn't mean to spoil any for you guys. Tatum Paxley answers Jordan Grace's open challenge at TNA Against All Odds, and that's terrible. I'm sorry. That's dog. That's dog doo doo. That's doggy doo doo. Joe Hendry, I feel like it's great in WWE NXT. If he fights Trick Williams, at Heatwave, that'd be dope. But dude, like TNA, when WWE went to TNA, be like, hey, we're looking for someone to, kind of challenge our WWE World Women's Champion to a match at Battleground. It's our first event, kind of, with the UFC kind of name under it at the Apex Center in Las Vegas. So can we borrow an NXT superstar? NXT's no. Can we borrow a TNA superstar? TNA's like, yeah, Jordan Grace, she's on it. The TNA Knockout Champion. Like, let's go. Let's make this work out. But then they're like, hey, but we would like to one of your superstars make an appearance on our show. Like, why not? That's just good business right there. You get what you give. You get what you give in life. This life you put in. Ultimately, what you put in life is what you will get back. And then you have TNA that go to WWE. They're like, all right, like that's good. I love the match at NXT Battleground. Roxanne Perez, she beat our main girl who's been a juggernaut, who's been absolutely untouchable. Who do you have for us to kind of offer here? Like, do we have Natalia, Neidhart, the Heart Foundation? Do we have potentially, do we have someone big like, even like we'll take Last Legend, like, or Jada Parker, whatever. Like, no, but we'll give you Tatum Paxley. We'll give you Tatum Paxley. I feel like that's terrible. I feel like that's a huge diminishment of the TNA. I feel like it's kind of like, and this might seem a little, kind of obscure to some of you guys, but do you guys remember trading Pokemon cards? I know this might seem like a huge jump. Or do you remember trading baseball cards or basketball cards, football cards, where you just like, oh, dude, I want that Dan Marino card so flipping bad. And like, I'm gonna give you this, I'm gonna give you that. But I want that Dan Marino card. Like, yeah, dude, I want to give you Dan Marino, but instead, I'll give you a Troy Aikman, or not talking crap on Troy Aikman at all, but like, we'll give you something that's not worth what you gave us, and that's something like you gave him Jordan Grace. Why couldn't you give someone more prominent within the WWE NXT? Kind of like, why couldn't you do that? Like that just baffles me. That just sends me to bananas. Obviously, honestly, I feel like, and I'm not like, obviously, I'm a WWE prominent kind of guy, but I feel for I feel for TNA. I feel like they were ultimately robbed within this promotion for the TNA. Knockouts Open Championship. Obviously, if you want Jordan Grace to kind of retain the championship easily, yeah, let him Tatum Paxley. But I don't know. I just feel like it was kind of dirty. Kind of did him kind of dirty. So, hey guys, thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Leave a positive review here at the GSMC Sports Network. We do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity all the way, baby. We also invite you guys to follow us on Facebook, Twitter/X, Instagram, and TikTok for more content and updates. Once again, thank you for tuning into my show. If I haven't made you a wrestling fan by now, we have sports and sports and sports. Be a part of this bloodline of sports, networking. But most importantly, have an amazing weekend. Have an amazing Father's Day weekend. Grab the ones you hold them tight. Have a good barbecue. Have a couple of drinks, and just enjoy life. Have a good night.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet. Damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired.